Welcome to our 4th Intuitive Textile Challenge. This month, I hinted last month at the end of the video to start saving your tea bags, coffee filters, new or used, and this month we're going to use them up. This month is called Caffeine, Courage, and Kindness. Stay with me and we'll see how that all comes together. So in front of me here I have some used coffee filters, some that aren't used. These are from the little K-cup refillable K-cups, tiny little ones. Actually, you could use cupcake liners as well. I have some tea bags. I have some used coffee filters. I have some unused coffee filters. I have some that as they were drying, I put some inks on top and let them run. Another really good one. And I found that if you want to get this nice dark line around the edges, if you leave the grounds in and put them in a cup so that they dry like this, you get that dark rim once they're completely dry. And then I just take something and brush off all of the grounds. Some of these have more grounds on them. Like it looks like this one had some grounds. But those are fun. So what to do with them after you start collecting them. And here are some examples of what I've been playing with. I have a tea bag. I just opened it up, left the string. I plan to put it back together and I stamped it. Here we could use color pencils or acrylics. We can stitch through it. It's very fine, and even though they look fragile, they're really not that fragile. They can take something. I have some stamps that I did with Stays-On ink. This is one that I used tape and put it through my printer. I just taped the coffee filter down to paper. Here's a tea bag. I actually printed this out once so I could get the placement, and then I placed the tea bag and secured it. Here are some more printed, some maps, a little clock. Here's one I printed on a unused coffee filter, so it's very crisp and white. I did some music paper. Here are some more stamps. Some more printing. And you can get, these are images that I purchased online, and a really good one is called Crow About. If you Google that, it has wonderful images, and they're just a few dollars to download them. And some more stamps. This piece is just a plain piece of paper, and I put the coffee filters on top of it while it dried. It is it just has a neat look, and I may use that as part of my collage. So what I'm going to do for this challenge, oh, here's one more. This is just deli paper, and I printed, I taped it to a regular piece of paper, and I printed on there. And then I wrote a sentence that meant something to me, and I used my translation tool, and I translated it to several different languages and printed it at the bottom to use. I have a tea bag that I cut off the bottom and slipped a piece of fabric inside and did some free motion stitches and added a little bit of paint, and I may use that on my page. So what we're going to do, I have just a piece of cotton fabric, and my intention is to do some background work on this, as we've done just about every month. And then I want to collage some of the coffee filters, some of the deli paper, some of the stamps on top, and then we'll stitch once the collage is done. I have some other things over here. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them. I have a little strip of fabric that's got some writing on it. I have a piece of organza that it looks like I tried to put it through the printer at one point and it didn't work very well, so I may use that. And I have some cheesecloth, which always looks nice, and I think that would look nice over my collage tea bags. Now for the courage part of the caffeine, courage, and kindness. So I am going to add some words to the background on what courage means to me. And to me, that's what this challenge is all about. It's putting myself out there. It's making these videos and trying new techniques with all of you. So I'm going to write some words about courage on the background. Then I'm going to collage some of my filters on top, and then we'll do some stitching. Okay, I have some paint on the background. I have some words that represent courage to me. I did write the word courage in the center in a water-soluble pencil, and it went away, and I'm okay with that. I want to tell you a little bit about the pen that I ended up using. And this is a Pentel gel roller for fabric. I bought this off of Amazon. I think I got a box of 12. And this is the best thing for fabric. It writes very smooth and doesn't skip, but it doesn't run. And as you can see, it is permanent once you put it on there. So just wanted to share that little tip with you. I love this pen. So I'm going to let this dry, and I have some matte medium, and I am going to come back with all of my printed tea bags and coffee filters, and I even have a little bit of a pattern. It's the same color as a coffee filter, and I'm just going to cover the top with that and see where we get then, and then we'll add stitches on top. My page is almost dry, and I went through some of my tea bags and kind of pulled out some images and words that I think fit my courage theme that I have going on. And so I did choose the butterflies for transformation. That certainly speaks to courage. There's some words that I like: inspire, create, strength, and growth. I do like this clock. I firmly believe that we shouldn't live our lives on autopilot and do things that we've always wanted to do them now. So the clock for me is going to represent that. I have some flowers for regrowth and rebirth in the spring. I do have a fork. For me, that's kind of a personal thing. It has to do with my journey with weight loss. I have some music paper that I printed on the coffee filter. I cannot sing, not even a little bit. It's actually how I used to get my kids to clean their room. I threatened to sing to them. And so, however, I love to sing. So it would definitely take courage for me to ever sing in public. So I'm going to add the music notes. I have a plain tea bag. I have some travel related items. Goes back to your bucket list and not living your life on autopilot. Do the things that are on your bucket list now. Some more travel. And here's a key that represents lots of things for open doors. And I really like the bird tea bag that I have. I may put the word fly on there. I think when I'm done, I may make a pocket on the front of my page and keep this in it. And so I'm going to go ahead and put these down on my page and see how it turns out. Okay, I have my tea bags all adhered down. Some of them wrinkled, some are torn, and I just went with it. I just put them down the way they were. In hindsight, I kind of wish that I had printed all of my elements that I put through the printer in more of a sepia tone rather than black and white. So before I was envisioning kind of a sepia tea bag coffee filter color scheme, and the black and grays have kind of taken over. So I'm going to work with that a little bit more and see where I want that to go. I can still see some of the words that I wrote in the beginning, and this is still very wet. I've got a lot of matte medium. I did water it down a little bit, and because I noticed it on this fork, when I didn't water it down, it started to lift if I didn't get enough in there. So now it's really wet, and so I'm going to let that dry and kind of rethink how I want to stitch this. I'm thinking that I may stitch the piece out and then come back in with some of this golden quinacridone nickel azo gold. This is a beautiful color, and I think I can highlight some of the stitches with this afterwards, and it may push some of that black and gray toner to the back. So we'll see how that works out. So I'll be back once this is dry. All right, my page is completely dry. It's very flat. It kind of has like a leathery feel to it. I love the way the back looks and how the color migrated to the edges. So I'm ready to stitch on this now. I do plan to add some more paint, but I'm ready to stitch. And I'm going to replace the needle on my machine. I have one that's dedicated just for things that have a thicker paper. And with all of that matte medium and this paper layered in several places, I don't want to dull my brand new needle that I just put on there. So I was thinking about what I wanted to put on here. You know, and you immediately think maybe stitching around some of the elements, but that's not what I want to do for this one. I want to do something totally unrelated. And so my first thought was, this was laying in my kitchen. This is a map of my homeowners association, and I am the treasurer. And this is just how the intuitiveness can come into this. So just open your mind up and really think outside the box. Just look around for inspiration around you. And so I thought, well, maybe it would be fun to just stitch my neighborhood. I don't know if you can see this because I wrote it in pencil, but I just traced it on here, and then I was just going to stitch through that and see how that looked. And then I thought, well, another option would be a tree. And I just love to do trees. Let's see, can you see that? And so I just quickly sketched out a tree on this. This is just tissue paper. And so I think I'm going to go with the tree. I like the map, and I actually think I may do that on another piece. But for now, I think I'm going to stitch this tree out. And so I also painted a little bit of cheesecloth, and I think that would make a nice foundation for the tree. And so I'm going to go stitch this and come back and we'll add some more to it. Okay, that is stitched. I did put a little bit of batting. This isn't batting, it is fleece on the back to give the tree a little bit of cushion. And I'm going to cut away with these scissors any of the outside of the tree just to see if we can get some dimension on the front. And I'm going to paint the background with a little bit of Okay, here's my finished page. I did stitch down the painted cheesecloth at the bottom and made a bit of a pocket for my tea bag. I do have a little bit of white paint that I've added to the tree just to make it pop off the page a little bit. I mixed the white paint with some of the floating medium so it would stay transparent. I didn't want it to cover up my tea bags at all. And so we started this out with the words on the background of what is courage and what courage meant to me. And I put a few things in the background of what courage meant to me, about strength and having your voice and letting your voice, your inner voice come out, and following your heart, and embracing fear, and living each day with kindness, that kind of thing. That's what courage meant to me. We covered all of that up, so those words are no longer there. You can see them a little bit. So once the tree was on there, I kept thinking about how we started with that. And so once I put the white paint on, I did take a Stabilo All and go around the edge and wet that so that it would outline the tree a little more. And then I took my fabric marker, and it's the same one we used in the beginning. And on each of the branches, I added those quotes back, only I added them as affirmations. So I said, I am strong. I can make mistakes. I have a voice. I am confident. That type of thing. So each branch has a little something, and it's not really even that legible. It's just, I know it's there, and I like it. I really like how this page turned out. I look forward to seeing that bound in my book. So that brings us to the very end of this challenge for this month. So the title of this was Caffeine, Courage, and Kindness. And so the caffeine is the filters, the tea bags, the coffee filters. The courage are the words we put in the background and the words on the branches. So let's talk about the kindness piece. I've been practicing random acts of art kindness for a couple of years. And the way I do that is I make a small piece of art, postcard size, maybe this size, and I put a little note on the back that just says, you've been gifted this random piece of art. And a little bit about, you can keep it for yourself or you can pass it on to someone else. And instead of knowing who this is going to, I will leave it somewhere. I'll leave it on a park bench. I'll leave it at the library. I'll leave it somewhere, and I never know who took the art. That doesn't matter to me. I really like just leaving it for someone. I imagine someone enjoying it. It may not fit their taste, and so they may leave it there for the next person. But so at the very end of this, I would like to challenge you to make a small piece of art. It can be as small as an ATC card. Make a small piece of art and leave it somewhere public. Leave it for someone else to find. If it's small like an ATC or a postcard, you may want to leave it inside at a cash register or anywhere. Just leave it for someone else and let it go. The second piece, I'd like for you to choose someone from our textile group or someone that you know and mail it to them. Just to surprise them. They don't know it's coming, and it'll brighten their day. So I've made 2 pieces while I've been doing this, and I plan to leave one in a public place, and I plan to mail the other one to someone that I feel like sending it to. Just random. So thank you for joining us for this challenge, and I look forward to next month.